There's an invisible current flowing through every human being. It's not taught in schools. It's not spoken about at dinner tables. Yet, it's one of the most powerful forces in existence: sexual energy. Most people think they understand it, but they only know its surface. This energy, often reduced to lust or physical attraction, holds far more potential than society lets on. Hidden beneath the surface of our desires is a reservoir of spiritual vitality, a kind of divine spark capable of reshaping not only the body, but also the mind and soul. This energy is raw, primal, and ancient. It's not shameful. It's not dirty. It's life itself, every heartbeat, every breath, every creative thought, all fueled by this inner fire. Cultures long before us knew this truth. They honored it, they channeled it. And they understood that when this energy is directed consciously, it doesn't just create life, it transforms it. But in modern times, this truth has been buried under guilt, fear, and silence. We've been taught to suppress instead of awaken. But the silence is breaking. What if the very thing you were told to hide is the key to unlocking your true potential? What if the surge of passion you feel isn't just biology, but a spiritual call to awaken? This force isn't just about intimacy. It's about connection, vitality, intuition, and inner power. It fuels confidence, accelerates healing, and expands awareness. And when harnessed, it opens doors that logic and reason never could. This is not about indulgence, it's about integration. Bringing awareness to this forgotten force reclaims the parts of you that have been asleep. It's not about what you do with it, it's about how you feel it, how you channel it, how you let it move through your life with intention and clarity. You were never meant to live divided from your deepest source of power. You were meant to awaken it. Long before modern religions, long before shame and suppression took root, there were civilizations that saw sexual energy not as a threat, but as sacred. The Egyptians spoke of the Ka, a vital force connected to passion and divinity. The Hindus revered Kundalini, a coiled serpent of pure energy resting at the base of the spine, waiting to rise. Taoist masters taught that sexual energy, when cultivated and preserved, could grant longevity, inner peace, and spiritual awakening. These weren't myths. These were technologies of the soul, blueprints for mastering human potential through conscious energy. In temples across India, carvings of intertwined bodies didn't symbolize indulgence. They represented union, not just of two people, but of spirit and matter, divine masculine and sacred feminine. These teachings weren't crude. They were refined systems designed to elevate the practitioner beyond ego into a higher state of being. Sex wasn't seen as carnal. It was cosmic. It was a ritual, a portal, a key. And it was guarded because it held power, not power over others, power over self. Taoist alchemists believed that through breath, movement, and intention, one could circulate sexual energy throughout the body. Instead of being lost through release, the energy could be recycled, nourishing the organs, brightening the mind, strengthening the spirit. It was a sacred science not based on superstition, but on experience. Monks, sages, and mystics didn't suppress this force, they mastered it. Why was all of this forgotten? Why do we only hear whispers of these teachings now? Because power that lives within you is harder to control from the outside. If you remember your own divine current, you become sovereign. You no longer need permission to heal, to awaken, to evolve. These ancient paths aren't gone, they're hidden, waiting for you to rediscover them. And once you do, you'll never look at desire the same way again. Your body is more than flesh, bones, and thoughts. It's a living system of energy, electric, magnetic, intelligent. At its core lies a vast network of channels and centers that ancient traditions mapped with precision. In India, these are known as nadis and chakras. In China, they're called meridians and dantians. Every breath you take, every emotion you feel, flows through this energetic matrix. And at the heart of this system pulses your sexual energy, dense, creative, and transformative. When awakened consciously, sexual energy rises from the root chakra and begins to travel upward. It nourishes each energy center along the way, activating vitality at the sacral, willpower at the solar plexus, love at the heart, clarity at the throat, vision at the third eye, and spiritual union at the crown. This movement isn't abstract. It can be felt as warmth, tingling, expansion, even ecstasy. Not the ecstasy of the body, but of the spirit. A recognition that you're not just human, you're a conduit of divine force. But when this energy is blocked, the opposite occurs. Stagnation forms, physical symptoms appear, fatigue, numbness, anxiety, emotional instability. It's not just about hormones or mindset. It's energy trapped, misdirected, or suppressed. Most people walk through life disconnected from their energetic body. They feel something is missing, but can't name it. The truth is, their life force is waiting to flow again. Simple practices can restore that flow. Breathwork, movement, focused attention, sacred silence. These tools clear the channels and allow the energy to rise naturally. It's not forced, it's not artificial, it's remembering what was always inside. You don't need to become someone new, you only need to open what has been closed. Your energy body isn't a concept, it's a map back to wholeness. And your sexual energy is the torch that lights the path. Every experience leaves an imprint, especially those tied to intimacy, shame, rejection, or violation. Sexual trauma doesn't only live in memory, it lodges itself in the body, silently shaping how energy flows, or more often, how it gets stuck. These blockages can form early, sometimes before words, in moments of confusion, fear, or betrayal. And when that happens, the body begins to protect itself. Walls go up, sensitivity shuts down, desire becomes disconnected from safety, pleasure becomes tangled with guilt or numbness. And over time, life feels less alive. But trauma isn't always violent or visible. Sometimes it hides in small moments, being judged for expressing attraction, being shamed for exploring the body, being told to stay silent about feelings or boundaries. These moments teach the nervous system to associate sexual energy with danger. So we tighten, we avoid, we suppress. And the energy that was meant to heal us becomes buried beneath layers of fear and emotional armor. The result: emotional instability, chronic tension, unexplained sadness, difficulty forming deep connections. These aren't random symptoms, they're signs of blocked life force. Your energy is trying to move, trying to reach the heart, the voice, the higher self, but it gets stopped, redirected, or drained. Healing begins the moment you stop running from this pain, not by reliving it, but by allowing the body to feel safe again, safe to breathe, safe to feel, safe to awaken. Techniques like somatic healing, sacred touch, intentional movement, and trauma-informed breathwork help rewire the nervous system. They restore the natural flow without re-traumatizing. They don't fix you. They reveal what was never broken. Underneath every block is energy waiting to rise. And when it does, it doesn't just release the past, it reclaims power, presence, and possibility. This is not about reliving wounds. It's about remembering the wholeness that still lives beneath them. Desire is not your enemy. It is not a distraction nor a weakness. It's the signal that your life force is alive and calling for direction. When misunderstood, desire can become chaotic, chasing pleasure without fulfillment, seeking connection, but feeling empty. But when understood and guided, it transforms into a force of spiritual evolution. This is the essence of transmutation, shifting raw sexual energy into higher forms of expression, not by resisting it, but by mastering its flow. Every great creation begins with desire. Every moment of inspiration, every act of courage, every leap into the unknown, all fueled by the same current that stirs within your lower body. But instead of letting that energy dissipate outward, you can learn to circulate it upward. Through conscious breath, focused awareness and intention, sexual energy can be redirected from the root to the crown, from instinct to intuition, from survival to transcendence. This isn't fantasy, it's practice. It's discipline, it's alchemy of the soul. Tantric teachings reveal that when desire is held, not suppressed or released, it builds intensity, a fire that refines rather than consumes. Athletes, artists, monks, and mystics throughout history have used forms of sexual transmutation to expand focus, deepen clarity, and access heightened states of consciousness. This process isn't about denial, it's about transformation. You don't eliminate the energy, you elevate it. The key is presence. Feeling every pulse, every urge without judgment, observing the wave of energy rise and choosing to ride it inward, visualizing it moving through the heart, illuminating the mind, activating inner vision. Over time, the body becomes the vessel and the energy becomes light. You realize you're not just channeling power, you are the power. And it doesn't just stay inside you, it radiates through your voice, your choices, your presence. This is the secret known by sages and seekers alike. When desire is honored, not wasted, it becomes divine fuel. It births not only pleasure, but purpose. It awakens not only passion, but truth. Transformation doesn't begin with theories, it begins with experience. With real people confronting pain, reclaiming power and awakening to something far greater than they imagined. One woman, after years of numbness following trauma, began practicing conscious breathwork combined with pelvic awareness. Within months, she not only regained sensation, she felt an inner light expanding from her core to her heart. Her voice changed. Her relationships deepened. She said, "It was like meeting myself for the first time." A man, once addicted to fleeting pleasure and drained by cycles of self-escape, discovered sexual transmutation through meditation. He stopped running from his urges and started channeling them into music, stillness, and clarity. What once felt compulsive became creative. His confidence wasn't rooted in ego anymore. It came from alignment. He described the shift as trading noise for resonance. Another story comes from a couple who'd grown distant. Years of routine had dulled their connection, but through sacred intimacy practices, slowing down, breathing together, making eye contact without expectation, they reawakened not just physical passion, but spiritual communion. "We stopped having sex," the woman said, "and started making energy." Their intimacy became a ritual, a healing, a return. These aren't isolated cases. They're reflections of what becomes possible when sexual energy is no longer avoided or misused, but honored. Whether through solo practice or shared connection, people around the world are remembering what ancient traditions never forgot. The body is a temple, desire is a guide, and pleasure is a path. Not away from spirit, but toward it. This awakening isn't about becoming someone new. It's about peeling away the layers of fear, shame, and distortion to uncover who you truly are. Beneath trauma, beyond conditioning, your energy is whole, wise, and alive. You don't need to force anything. You only need to listen, breathe, and allow the current to rise. Because once it does, there's no going back. Only forward, into truth, into power, into the full radiance of your being. You were never disconnected. You were only distracted, taught to fear your own fire, taught to silence your own body, taught to separate spirit from sensation. But now the illusion is crumbling. What once felt hidden, taboo, or forbidden is revealing itself as sacred. Your sexual energy is not a flaw. It is not a temptation. It is your origin, your medicine, your compass back to self, and no system, belief, or wound has the authority to keep you from it anymore. To reclaim your inner power is not to dominate, perform, or impress. It is to remember, to turn inward, breathe deep, and feel what's been waiting to awaken. This power has nothing to do with control, and everything to do with alignment. When your energy flows freely, you don't chase anything, you attract. You don't search for worth, you embody it. You don't beg for healing, you become it. The transformation begins the moment you stop outsourcing your power and realize it's been within you all along. Start simply. Feel your body without judgment. Let your breath guide your awareness. Sit in stillness and sense the current beneath the surface, the pulse that has never stopped beating for you. Explore movement. Meditate. Make love with presence, with reverence, with intention. Speak to your own energy like it's a living being, because it is. The more you engage, the more it responds. Not with chaos, but with clarity. Not with confusion, but with remembering. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You only need to begin. The path of healing and spiritual awakening isn't linear. It spirals, deepens, expands. But each time you choose awareness over avoidance, presence over shame, reverence over repression, you reclaim another piece of yourself. And when all those pieces come together, something extraordinary happens. You don't just feel powerful, you become luminous. You walk through life grounded, open, awake. You're no longer seeking the light. You are the light. Not because someone told you, but because you felt it rise from the very core of your being. This is your return. This is your power. Reclaimed. If this content made sense to you, don't stop here. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future content. Now, watch this next video where I'll show you another essential step to transform your reality. I'll see you there.